Okay, perfect. All right, guys.
All right, three, two, one.
Look at my pressure. What's going on, Access Atlanta? I'm so excited. I am here with two, I'm going to just call them legends because they have been doing it big. I want to call him Tommy, but that's not his name.
It's
It's
not his
Joseph
name.
Sikora
Joseph
and
Sikora.
Deon Taylor,
Yes.
director of the movie Fear, that's actually out now. Everybody can go see it. And I want to talk a little bit about how Fear got started because this was during COVID-19 at
Yep.
the beginning, right?
Yeah.
How did you make that work?
Oh man, it was crazy. The world was upside down. Things were going, out the window. We didn't know what was going on, what tomorrow would bring to us, and it was right at the height of the pandemic where I found myself personally living with a lot of fear. Didn't know, what tomorrow was going to be. At the same time, I was very nervous about my kids, my family being sick. And right around that same exact time, we had witnessed the George Floyd moment, which just put the whole world on the top spin. We were like all spinning. And it was at that moment I was like, man, it would be great for me to just release all this energy and go do something very creative. And I came up with the idea of Fear. At the time, it was called Don't Fear. And my first phone call was to my brother right here, Joseph, who I, had become very close with and called my brother and reached out to him and just said, man, I got this really, really cool idea. And I was able to pitch it to him over the phone. And from the pitch, he was like, man, that's really interesting. Send me the script. And I was like, I don't have a script, Joe.
No script, but you knew you had to make it happen.
I don't have a script, Joe, but I'm writing it now. And he was, man, just beautiful enough and cool enough to trust me instinctually. And he got in the car and drove from New York to California to do this film in the height of a pandemic. That adds another 20 points to this.
Right.
The drive is one thing, but during the pandemic is a whole nother thing. And man, we got together and we did something really special.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have been kind of creating that magic for a while now together.
Yes.
What makes the dynamic duo work so well, you think?
I think one of the huge things is that Deon is confident enough in his skills that he's not a micromanager. He doesn't tell me how to do my job. He allows me to do a better job than I would have done on my own. Mm-hmm. He challenges me to expand my horizons and expand my parameters of whatever character I'm playing. He knows the Tommy character really well, but he doesn't say, Tommy would do this or Tommy would do this. He says, have you thought about this? Or man, this situation, like this, he explains the realness of the entirety of the world. That's something that Deon has in spades, is this incredible understanding of a world. He created this world, the world that we live in Fear, because he's such an incredible leader. So he allowed us to, he painted this world for us and then said, go play. And then he allowed me to have a different character than you've seen me play on television or film before, a different character than T.I.'s ever played before, and certainly a different character than Terrence J. or King Batch have played before. He really pulled these wonderful performances out of us in a time that was really scary. We were scared on that set. This was July of 2020. We didn't know what the virus was at that time, what it would do to us. What if we got it? If we had one positive case, the whole film would have been shut down. So we had to exist within this bubble. We had to trust each other. We had to overcome real fears in real time. And that is something that no other film, no other television show has captured on film, on camera, is what was happening at that time in a dramatic backsetting.
Yeah, and I know we were talking a little earlier just about how, Deon, you came up with your own protocols because nobody even had anything in place yet when you started filming this movie.
Yeah, shout out to Roxanne, who produced this film and did all the legwork to put this thing together, and also Omar Joseph, who produced the film as well. This was, we were all green. We had no idea what it was or how you deal with it. So there was a lot of phone calls to unions, WGA, DGA, CDC, all these different unions to ask what could we do during this moment. And we just kind of caught it right in the middle where it was a loophole where they didn't know, we didn't know. And they was like, all right, well, if you do these things and you get people to sign off, then do it. And what's crazy about the movie is a few months after we shot the film, everything got shut down. They stopped allowing production to happen. And so we caught it at the right time, but we also had to have several people that were committed and also risk takers. Joe leading the charge in terms of that with the actors to just say, man, I'm going to try it and do it. But I think that's the genesis of what the movie is about, is people saying, I'm going to be fearless and jump and take a chance on something, and we did. And now the result is we have a very, very cool movie that's in theaters that we own, that actually shows you and reminds you of a piece of time where, you know, things were not as great as they are today, but we wrapped it into a horror form so you could go there and have a really good time and be like, damn, I remember that. That's exactly what I was doing. I would do it just like that. Like, it was good that way. So we're excited, man.
Yeah, and let's get into the movie Fear, because, I mean, just even watching the trailer, it looks like it was filmed in a house that should be in my nightmares. Tell me about the movie Fear.
The movie's great, man. The movie is, you know, it is a direct horror film. It's elevated in terms of what the content of the movie represents. The movie deals with the subconsciousness of all these characters that goes there, and the idea is whatever the mind could manifest is probably going to be the scariest thing on earth. So what we're dealing with in the movie is people that are actually, what the cabin or the lodge does in a very unique way is it allows you to see whatever your greatest fear is, and you must actually deal with that fear.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But just like in real life, if you don't deal with your fears will eventually kill you. If you're afraid, Deon uses this example all the time, if you're afraid to get that divorce because you're in a relationship that is just going around in circles, which is represented in the film, going around in circles, that will eventually wear you down and wear you out and destroy you. Or asking that woman to marry you, or putting that money in the bank. I'm just going to save and not spend, or taking that risk for that career. It really explores all of those ideas of how to get over your fear. And, you know, the secret is that's through love and trust and faith.
That's beautiful. Tell me about your character in the movie, though, because he looks a little interesting. I feel like that's an appropriate word for him, maybe. Tell me a little bit about him.
Ram is a very interesting character. Ram lives in his head more than any other character in our film.
Yes.
And so the manifestation of his fear, which is a true fear that we all have, may seem small, but it's something that can, if you live something to fester, it just shows how much something can grow and take you over. He is a writer. Ram Jennings' novel is just at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. So he has another fear on top of that. How do we do it twice? What is our second act? And I think that can also make or break somebody as well. So he's dealing with that. And then there's another fear on top of that I'm going to leave for audiences to see.
Oh.
But just like all of us, everybody's fear is right at the surface. And once they come out, they either cripple you or you conquer it and you do something greater than everybody else around you.
It seems like, I mean, on the surface, you would say it's just a horror film, but there's like a really deep message, it seems like, in this movie. Or you wanted it to be.
The movie's about life.
Yeah.
Overall, that's exactly what it is. And it's cool, man, because I think most recently a lot of horror films that we're beginning to see, psychological horror films, actually deal with life or things that are occurring in your life. Get Out was very good at analyzing a certain world and putting that into a horror form. Midsommar was an interesting movie. There's just been some good films where you're like, wow, that's creepy and crazy. You know what I mean? So we wanted to be right in that box of creepy and crazy as well. And man, Joe killed it, man. He was phenomenal. Yes.
I believe it.
And I'm so lucky to have the rest of the cast. Like I said before, T.I., you've never seen him like this, who was excellent in his role, just like Idol Goldberg, King Batch, Annie Alonso, Ruby Modine, the list goes on and on and on. But that was also to Deon, who compiled these actors of people that wanted to take risks, who were risk takers. And I think that bonded us quickly. And that's also reflected in the film, captured the love and the fear.
And, speaking of you bringing together all these people, as an independent filmmaker, you don't necessarily get all the things that the Hollywood studios get. And so I'm wondering, in the beginning, how do you build up that trust and get all these talented people that you have around you to recognize your talent and build up that network?
It's tough. Yes, independent filmmaker. I know, and for me, we get nothing, but what I can get. You know what I mean? And you know, most of the films that I have made, I would tell you, man, like being independent and doing something like a drama or a love story. I think you have a lot of ways to get around those movies independently. You're talking about a location. You're talking about two people talking, maybe an argument. You know what I mean? As a filmmaker, not easy, but very easy to accomplish because you don't need much. Me, on the other hand, I have some, I guess, beating myself because I'm interested in movies like this, Fear, where you're now talking about visual effects. You're talking about, having to do for one scene 10 or 12 setups. You're talking about days where you have to average 60 to 90 setups. Like, this is crazy.
It's unheard of.
Wait, 60 to 90?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean.
Just didn't stop shooting. A lot of people. Deon never took a lunch. He would let everybody else take breaks. Deon worked from beginning to the end. Every day. Every single day.
Wow. Yeah, because we're trying to accomplish something that normally is not supposed to be done for that amount of money. Sometimes you could make a movie, like a Blair Witch, which is really cool for, $500,000-$600,000, or Paranormal Activity, where you're really tricking audiences by using cameras and putting them places and letting things happen. But a direct horror film like this for, $900,000 or $1 million for what we made this film for in 15 days.
Wow. That was quick.
Yeah, I mean, you're tough. This is tough. This is tough, man. We talk about visual effects, talking about guys like Joe having to act against nothing at times or act against my voice, telling them where something is and making them go towards that and making sure you get the proper camera angles. It becomes a different challenge, you know what I mean? But yeah, as an independent, this is what I signed up for and this is what I do. Obviously you don't want to stay doing those types of movies, but the idea is to do that art at the highest clip with hopes that eventually you could get financially able to actually put more money into your budget and make bigger films, right? And or you go work with other people or studios to enhance your vision. Yeah. And that's where you want to go. You know what I mean? The great thing about Fear is we own it. The great thing about The Intruder is we own it. All these films that we're talking about, we actually own the IP alone. And that has made for a very good story and a very cool story between myself and Roxanne and Hidden Empire. But we don't get here without people like Joe and people that have opted in to us. You know what I mean? Hilary Swank, Michael Ealy, Megan Good, Dennis Quaid, Tyrese, Naomi Harris. These are people that are opting into me as a filmmaker and us as a brand and being like, yo, I trust you. Because believe it or not, filmmaking is a skill set.
Oh, for sure.
You can be as passionate as you want to be and as hungry as you want to be, like I was, and not get better at this craft. You know what I mean? I am significantly better than I was 15 years ago when I picked up a camera for the first time. Like, man, in action. Hey, man, walk over there, man. Man, that was pretty good, huh? Now I'm like, damn, I can't believe I was doing that. But you have to get better at this because people like this come into your world that have brands and years of experience and this is his life on the line. I mean, his business life.
Yeah.
So you come to me and I tell you, man, I want to do something we don't have no money. And I ain't got no script.
But I want to do it.
Yeah, but loan me your likeliness for this. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This dude come back to the editing room later and see something,
Yeah.
He's like, man, that's the back of my head the whole movie. Like, you got to make sure you do it right, man. So for me, I'm really, really drawn and driven by making sure I deliver for people like Joe at every scenario because I know he's going to watch himself, watch his performance, critique what it is. So I have to be on point for that, you know what I mean? And make sure I give him something that's as equal value to his Power or his Ozarks or his, you know what I mean? Or his Tom Cruise film, whatever that might be. I want to make sure I'm still on par with everything it is he's done.
And I think that's also a testament to you too.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that it's I'll give myself credit for knowing that I was not only in good hands, but in hands that were going to elevate me. Somebody who I believed in as much as they believed in me. And I think that as actors, oftentimes we're taught to, be almost, well, at least I was taught to be too humble. I wasn't even taught to be an actor. My God, I was taught to be like, I was supposed to be the guy that fixed your toilet. But I took a risk on a creative career. And so I saw, where I grew up in Chicago was, cops and firemen and city workers. And I had an incredibly difficult time. And I don't give myself enough credit for being a creative and being an actor and an artist. And certainly from where Deon comes from in Chicago and Gary, Indiana, he was not supposed to make it out of the neighborhood, let alone pivoting on a career, which he often talks about, from basketball into filmmaking. And that the amount of fear he had to overcome to do that is extraordinary, but it also proves that no man is an island. You need a community. You don't do this by yourself, and you may as well do it with people who you love and who are visionary.
Yeah. And I mean, just speaking of working with different people, how was it on the set? It seemed like it was actually scary. Or were you guys joking a lot? What was the...
We didn't know what COVID was. I didn't want to get it. I remember, where I stay in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn, there were all of those refrigerated trucks with bodies in them outside of the hospital. So that's what, I was thinking of that. So there was... It was actually scary. We had a huge amount of camaraderie. We're all like-minded people. We're all people who wanted to do this and make this happen. But it was scary. I think of the scene in the bar afterwards when different people, and even myself included, was like, did we have our masks off for too, because that was a pretty long take.
Yeah.
Did we have our masks off for too long? We really were there, so close to each other. So there are places in the movie where it's documenting how scared we were about what was happening in real life.
Because we didn't know. Like at one point in time, I didn't even want to roll down my windows because I'm like, is it going to come in my car? Like,
hey, now that's reflected in the film as well.
See? This is really a staple in time. So I'm glad you guys were able to capture that. And, I want to ask you, you've, of course, portrayed so many different characters throughout your career.
You love Jason Gamble on SVU, you say.
Listen, I'm an SVU fanatic, so yes. But is there any kind of type of character that you haven't played yet that you want to play?
Well, I always say James Bond. I want to play James Bond, something like that, or the spy. Let me be Jason Bourne. Let me be one of those damn Sikora boys. Tommy Bond. Yeah, but something like that. I would love to play. I'd love to do a spy thriller. Would be something great. Yeah.
Okay. Any type of movie for you, Deon, that you haven't
do that
directed?
together.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to set this up.
You did that with Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah, but I was the heel in that, and I was also like not necessarily a spy. I was kind of like, my IQ was probably 17.
Oh my gosh.
Man, listen, your IQ was never 17, but I tell people all the time, man, look, Tom Cruise, come on, man.
I love Tom Cruise. I would love it. He's amazing.
You were opposite Tom Cruise, bro. Like, that's
a big deal.
That's bigger than a big deal. That's historic. It's the greatest action star of all time. And he hand selects who's in this movie. So anyways, all right. For me, I don't know. You know what? It's I'm at that point now where I'm like,
because you've done so much. I'm like, what else?
Yeah, but I've done, it's everything I can think of in terms of what I'm thinking of, when I'm thinking of it. I like to do that. I'm not sure, man.
I'd like to say what I would like for you.
Let's hear
I
it.
would like something huge budget where you have a huge amount of time to all of these things that Deon doesn't have the luxury of. A budget that would cover everything, that's not stressing everybody out, to make sure that everything is fine-tuned, to have somebody do that for him, to have a ton of days to fine-tune this with everybody that you want to work with.
Keep talking.
Claim it.
Keep talking.
You deserve it. I can't imagine what he can do with that.
Yeah.
But all of everything he's done up to this point has trained him for when that comes and continues to come.
That's right. We'll get there.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. And we'll get there when the time is right. And we'll get there with the right project.
Yes.
Part of, what I've been able to build as a black filmmaker is the ability to create my own world in this space. I like to be the only Deon Taylor. And what that means is I jump genres on purpose. So I have a fear, I have a black and blue, I have an intruder, I have a meet the blacks, I have a supremacy, I have a traffic.
Yeah.
I don't I think I'm one of one in terms of like making different genres of film at that clip. And doing them well. You know, everything we've done has been very successful, and people have really responded the correct way on these small budgets. So, yeah, as we go up, yeah, it'll be great, man. Pretty soon I'll have a werewolf movie and you know what I mean? We're rebooting Blackula, which is going to be incredible.
Let me know if you need any extras.
Yeah, with MGM, that's going to be pretty amazing. And yeah, we'll keep figuring out when we wake up what we want to make.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I love to see the brotherhood between you two because
he's
you
with
can
me.
tell it's real.
It's faux life.
Yeah, it's definitely real. But
It's
you know,
faux life. That's a new
that's a new thing.
faux life.
Oh, whose new thing?
I just made that up.
Oh, okay.
But y'all can use that. Don't start no gang with that though. Don't start
Because you're
no
gonna
gang.
end up in court.
Oh man, you with the faux lives?
Yeah, you know
You
they
with the
use
faux lives?
all this stuff.
You with the faux lives? They just like,
I
damn.
didn't hear. I didn't see any of this.
Yeah.
Well, you know, of course, we're in Atlanta, so I need to know if you were to make a movie about Atlanta, horror or whatever, what would the name of it be? Both of you, if you were to star in one.
I tell you what I would love to make, and I've
that?
been trying to have some conversations about it, is Lake Lanier.
Yeah,
Interesting place for me, and something I've been talking about a lot with T.I.
has a reputation for
Yeah,
sure.
but conceptually it has to be done right. And so a lot of people, oh, you run out there and just shoot people at the water. And I'm like, no, it has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find a very, very cool angle in and angle out for that to work. It could be very cool, man. But just the history of that and the conspiracies around it
Because
and all
there's
that.
so many.
Yeah, it's
so
like, man, what
many.
is this? It was that. People,
Don't-
you know what people was doing. So, anyways, that would be something I would be interested in for Atlanta.
All right.
I would like to do a historical drama of pre-Civil War Atlanta before Sherman's army leveled it, and to see kind of the affluence of this budgeting southern metropolis,
That's
and then
good,
to
too.
come
That'd be
down and to end it with the march, Sherman's march.
You like history.
I do.
I can
And
tell. I can tell.
Dion put that in the movie for my character because of me.
Really?
Yeah, he saw that. He's like,
loves it.
let me do that more. He's like, yeah. You should know more about that.
Yep.
You should- so yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I thank you both. I'm
Thank you.
excited about this movie. We have to go out and support Fears in theaters now.
Go see it.
Yes. Anything else you guys want to say that just to tell people about your
They're gonna
movie?
have so much fun during this movie. It's got all the jumps, all the scares that you want. If you're like, I'm not a horror person, well, don't worry, we got you too. But just know that when you see it in the movie theaters, like you and I were talking about afterwards, you're gonna notice more things when you see it twice,
Yeah.
3 times. You're gonna see all of the Easter eggs. Pretty much the whole film is almost laid out throughout the movie. You could figure out the end, but you got to be a great detective.
See, and I love how we did talk about, you know, the movie and how you see different things every time you watch it. And I was relating it back to like music, like a song. I'll listen to it one time, I'll miss a line, hear it the second time, hear something different the third time.
Yes.
So I love that it has that layers to it as well.
Yes, a few things in there to look for.
All right.
It's a few things to look for in there. When does this air?
Huh? Well, you know, we'll see.
Well, go see the movie. Go see it now.
Go see it right now.
Go
That's
see
the
it right
important
now.
part.
Wherever you finish watching this, go to the movies and see it.
Everything your
now.
friends have told you, it may or may not be true, but go see the film for yourself.
Let's support.
Yeah.
Thank you
you.
both.
Thank you.